Chapter 6. Different Waters. They cleared the second floor in minutes. What had taken me hours of desperate fighting, they handled like routine work. But it wasn't just efficiency. It was mastery. I stood against the wall. Couldn't do anything else. My channels were screaming, overflowing, drowning in accumulated ink. 12 hours of desperate casting had filled me with poison. Black oil backing up in my system like toxic waste with nowhere to go. Too much chaos. Too much byproduct. My body couldn't process it anymore. The ink was dissolving me from the inside out. My consciousness kept fracturing, splitting. One version of me pressed against cold stone. Another already drifting into shadow. A third screaming for connection, for touch, for anything to anchor me to physical reality. The hunger was growing, insatiable, desperate. If I let go completely, I'd become nothing but need. Pure desire for contact that could never be satisfied. A shrieking shadow thing that experienced every emotion simultaneously until nothing remained but madness. My body kept flickering. Solid. Shadow. Solid. The edges of my form blurring and reforming. I pressed my palms flat against the stone wall behind me. Used the cold solidity to remember I was real. Was physical, was still here. If I moved, I'd lose focus. If I lost focus, I'd fragment. If I fragmented, I'd dissolve. So I stood and watched and tried to hold myself together. Kale moved through the infected like water flowing around obstacles. His spear flashed silver, each strike precise and devastating. But it was his movement that caught my fragmenting attention. Fluid. Athletic. Like combat was dance, and he knew every step. Where Dane overwhelmed with brutal power, Kale danced. An amalgamation lunged at him. 4 bodies fused together. Massive. Fast. Its multiple arms reaching with slime-coated hands. Kale seemed to slow. The creature's strike passed through empty air where he'd been a heartbeat before. But I'd been watching. He hadn't moved that fast. Couldn't have. Then I saw it. Subtle. Almost invisible. The silver light that flickered around him wasn't just enhancement. It was illusion. Perception manipulation. He made himself seem slower than he was. Made enemies strike where he appeared, rather than where he stood. The amalgamation's momentum carried it forward. Off balance. Exposed. Kale's spear punched through its center mass with surgical precision. The slime organism ruptured. The fused bodies collapsed into gray motes that drifted like snow. Another creature charged from behind. Kale didn't turn. Just dropped his spear point to the floor and kicked backward with one foot. A circle of silver spikes erupted around him in a perfect ring. Cleaving magic solidified into ordered death. The creature impaled itself on 3 spikes simultaneously. Slime sprayed. The organism died. Kale retrieved his spear with casual grace and kept moving. 3 more amalgamations rushed him. Smaller. Faster. 2 bodies each fused at the torso. They spread out. Flanking positions. Kale's spear blurred. Not a thrust. A sweep. The weapon's shaft extended mid-motion. cleaving magic adding phantom length that wasn't physically there. The sweep caught all three creatures at once. Cut through slime and flesh at angles that shouldn't have connected. They fell in pieces.
Marin, 3 on your left.
The binder who'd arrived with him moved like liquid shadow. She was absolutely gorgeous in a way that made my breath catch even through my fragmenting consciousness. Hourglass figure wrapped in fitted leather that showed every curve. Long black hair flowing perfectly despite the chaos. And her skin was covered in intricate ink patterns worn like art. Lacework designs traced across her exposed arms, disappearing beneath her collar. Like fishnets made of chaos. Beautiful, deliberate, proud. She wove without looking, her threads wrapped around the creature's mid-charge, compressed, crushed, disposed. My vision flickered, black spots eating at the edges. I gripped the wall harder, focused on breathing, on being solid. When I could see again, Kale was surrounded. 8 amalgamations. Maybe more. They'd learned. Stopped charging individually. Now they circled. Patient. Coordinated in ways the polyp-infected shouldn't be capable of. Kale planted his spear. Both hands on the shaft. Silver light erupted from the point where it touched stone. The light spread. Fast. Racing across the floor in geometric patterns. Intersecting lines. Perfect angles. A mandala of ordered death expanding outward in all directions. The creatures tried to back away. Too slow. The light reached them. Where it touched slime-coated flesh, the flesh crystallized. Hardened. Shattered. The amalgamations came apart like dropped pottery. Dozens of pieces clattering to stone in cascading failure. Kale pulled his spear free, spun it once. The silver light faded. "Show off," Marin called, but she was smiling, sharp, approving. More infected flooded through the hole in the roof. Small ones, fresh transformations. Humans who'd been caught by the disease hours ago. Their faces were still recognizable beneath the slime coating. Eyes wide with animal panic. Mouths working soundlessly. They dropped from above like rain. Landed badly. Bones breaking with wet cracks. But the slime held them together. Reformed broken limbs. Kept them moving despite injuries that should have been fatal. Kale's expression shifted. Became cold. Focused. His spear moved in tight circles. Figure 8s. The weapon hummed. Each rotation left silver afterimages hanging in the air. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All spinning in perfect synchronization. He thrust forward once. The afterimages launched. Silver spear points flying in formation like a flock of deadly birds. They struck with surgical precision. 1 per target. Through the head. Quick. Merciful. The infected collapsed. Silent. Gone before they knew what happened. I watched through fragmenting consciousness. Part of me cataloging tactics. Part of me horrified. Part of me recognizing the mercy in that killing. Fast. Clean. No suffering. Dane would approve. My legs gave out. I didn't fall. Couldn't let myself fall. just slouched harder against the wall. Let it hold all my weight. Hands pressed flat against stone. Breathing shallow, rapid. Everything flickering worse now. Solid shadow solid in rapid succession. Hold together, just hold together. I heard fighting. Couldn't track all of it. My attention kept slipping. A massive crash. Something heavy hitting stone. Kale's voice.
That's the big one, Guardian class.
I forced my eyes to focus. A massive amalgamation crashed through the wall. 8 bodies at least. Bear. Bull. Multiple humans. All fused into nightmare architecture held together by slime. 12 feet tall. Maybe more. Arms ending in bone spikes that grew and dissolved and regrew in different configurations. The thing roared. The sound came from 6 mouths simultaneously. Wet. Gurgling. Wrong. Kale and Marin didn't hesitate. Didn't communicate beyond a glance. They moved into casting positions. Mirror images. Kale thrust his spear forward. Marin swept her hands in the same arc. Their magic intersected. A severing storm erupted between them. The field of invisible cutting edges filled the entire room. I could see it somehow. See the lattice of death they'd created. Perfect geometric patterns of order and chaos woven together in devastating synthesis. Everything inside the radius shredded. The Guardian amalgamation tried to reform. Slime pulling separated pieces back together. Bone spikes regrowing faster than they were cut. Kale adjusted his stance. Changed the angle of his spear by inches. The severing storm's pattern shifted. Rotated. Focused. All that cutting force concentrating on a single point. The thing's center mass where the slime organism held everything together. The organism ruptured, completely, catastrophically. The amalgamation came apart. 8 bodies collapsing into component pieces. Flesh, bone, slime, all dissolving into ash and settling like gray snow across ruined floor. The spell faded. My vision went black again. Longer this time. I heard more fighting. Couldn't see it. Couldn't focus. Everything was slipping away from me in waves. Sound became distant, muffled, like I was underwater. Hold together. Hold together. Hold together. Cold stone beneath my palms. That was real. That was solid. I existed because the stone existed and I could feel it. When my vision cleared, how much time had passed? The room was quiet. Bodies everywhere. Dozens of them. Maybe more. All reduced to gray ash drifting in afternoon light that slanted through broken walls. Kale and Marin stood in the center of devastation. Not even breathing hard. Their armor was splattered with slime and worse. But they moved like they'd just finished a routine training exercise. They moved like they'd been fighting together for years. Maybe they had. My barriers finally collapsed. The last threads holding them in place snapped. All at once. The weight of maintaining them for hours with nothing left to give finally exceeded what willpower could sustain. I felt them go. Felt the reality anchors dissolve. Felt the protective dome that had kept civilians safe simply cease to exist. I fell with them. The floor rushed up. I had time to think that hitting stone was going to hurt. Then arms caught me, warm, solid, real. Kale had crossed the room faster than I could track. He cradled me like I weighed nothing. Looked down with those eyes that caught everything.
Swooning over my impressive combat display, yeah? Can't say I blame you.
His grin was quick, self-deprecating.
Though it's not very heroic if I let you crack your skull on stone after we've already won. Bit anticlimactic, that.
I tried to speak, couldn't. My body was flickering again. Solid. Shadow. Solid. The ink winning.
Dissolution symptoms.
Kale said, not asking, stating.
Advanced stage. How long have you been casting?
Hours. The word came out slurred. Wrong.
Right. We need to transfer. Now.
He looked at me directly.
I can't force you, Liv. Transfer doesn't work that way. You have to want this. We have to do this together.
Together. The word hit like a physical blow. My mind flashed to Dane, to being together with him. Channels merged, consciousness intertwined. That perfect moment when we stopped being two separate people. I tried to process the question. Transfer meant ash. Ash meant balance. Meant not dissolving. Meant surviving. Dane, I managed. His name felt important, like a talisman. Like if I said it enough, he'd appear.
Isn't here.
Kale's voice stayed gentle but firm.
But I am. And if we don't do this now, you dissolve. Your choice, yeah?
My choice. Choice implied options. But there was only one option, really. Survive or die. I nodded.
Good.
He adjusted his grip. One arm around my back. One hand clasping mine.
This is going to feel different from what you're used to. Try not to panic.
Silver light flickered where our palms met. And he pulled. I gasped. The sensation was immediate and intense. My ink pouring out through the contact point. Flooding into him. But his ash wasn't coming across. Wasn't balancing. Just pulling. Creating pressure. Vacuum. The accumulated chaos drained from my system in torrents. Black oil transforming to pure energy flowing through our joined hands. It should have felt like relief. Like release. Instead, it felt like building tension. Like something mounting. Growing. Becoming almost unbearable. I could feel his ash. Building on his side of the connection. Mounting. He was holding it back. Not releasing. Just letting it build while my ink kept pouring. Then he released it all at once. The flood of ash hit like a dam breaking. Like a tidal wave. Like every transfer I'd ever had with Dane compressed into a single devastating second. I screamed. Couldn't help it. Couldn't stop it. The sound ripped from my throat as pleasure beyond anything I'd experienced crashed through my system. My back arched so violently I would have fallen if Kale wasn't holding me. Every nerve ignited. Every channel flooded with relief so intense it bordered on agony. This wasn't a transfer. This was drowning in sensation. His ash poured into me in torrents. Filled every space the ink had occupied. Kept filling. Kept flooding. More than should be possible. More than any first transfer should achieve. The accumulated chaos from 12 hours of desperate casting was draining in seconds, and his ash was replacing it all at once. Perfect balance achieved through calculated pressure release. Through absolute control. Through something that shouldn't be possible between partners who'd never touched before. My vision whited out, then went black, then exploded into colors that didn't exist. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel as wave after wave of overwhelming relief crashed through me. It felt obscene, transcendent, like the most explosive orgasm combined with the first breath after drowning. Like every addiction I'd ever heard of compressed into a single moment that stretched and stretched until I thought I'd shatter from it. My consciousness flickered, expanded. I felt his presence at the edges of my thoughts. Not invasive, not reading me, just there, solid, certain, completely in control of the transfer process even as I came apart. He was holding me together, literally. His ash wasn't just balancing my ink, it was providing structure, framework, keeping my fragmenting identity from dissolving completely while the transfer completed. This level of control shouldn't be possible. Not with a new partner. Not on a first transfer. You needed months of practice, years of synchronization, deep emotional connection. We had none of that. And yet his ash flowed through my channels like it belonged there. Like it knew exactly where to go. Like our systems had been designed to fit together. The sensation began to fade. Gradually, reluctantly. My body remembered how to breathe. How to exist as something solid rather than pure feeling. Dane's transfers were like dancing. Two people moving together in synchronized rhythm, learning each other's steps until the movements became natural. Building gradually toward transcendent moments that took months to achieve. Kale's transfer was like being caught by a safety net. You fell and someone was there to catch you. Competent, confident, utterly reliable. But more than that, it was like falling and discovering you could fly. Different. Not better or worse. Just different. That's what I told myself. The sensation faded gradually. My body solidified. The flickering stopped. I could feel my edges again. Could distinguish where I ended and the world began. Kale set me down carefully. Made sure my legs would hold before releasing me completely.
Better?
I nodded. Couldn't speak yet. My channels sang with foreign ash. His ash, not Dane's. The resonance was different. Sharper, more controlled. Like the difference between a roaring fire and a precisely maintained flame. It felt good. It felt really good. Too good. My body responded before my mind could stop it. Heat flooding through me that had nothing to do with the transfer and everything to do with the man holding me. My cheeks flushed. My breath quickened. Arousal mixing with relief until I couldn't separate them. The guilt hit like a sledgehammer. This wasn't Dane. This was another man's ash singing through my channels. Another man's touch making my body respond. Another man holding me while I came apart with pleasure. And it felt good. Not the same as Dane's. Dane's transfers were like coming home. Safe. Known. Perfect because we'd learned each other over months of practice. This was different. Sharp where Dane was smooth. Controlled where Dane was responsive. Like the difference between a roaring fire and a precisely maintained flame. Both gave warmth. Both could burn. But where Dane made me feel protected, Kale made me feel caught. Held in place by someone who knew exactly what he was doing and wasn't asking permission for any of it. Different. Not better. Not worse. That's what I told myself, even as my body arched into his touch. Even as part of me wanted more. Even as the traitorous thought whispered, what would it feel like if we went further? I hated myself for thinking it. Hated that my body didn't care about loyalty. Hated that relief and arousal tangled together until I couldn't tell which was which. Hated most that some small part of me wasn't thinking about Dane at all. I hated that I noticed. Hated that I was comparing. Hated that part of me was cataloging the differences instead of just being grateful for survival. Marin appeared beside us. She studied me with dark eyes that missed nothing.
Well, you're not dead.
Her tone made it unclear whether this was observation or mild disappointment. She gestured at the black amber sculpture.
Now let's deal with your art project before someone has to explain it to Imperial investigators.
The dismissal was clear. Conversation over. Kale turned to the black amber sculpture. The frozen nightmare that had nearly killed us all. His expression shifted. Became serious.
Right, this is a problem.
Marin joined him. They circled the sculpture like predators examining prey. 12 feet of fused horror frozen in dark, translucent crystal.
Radiant cage?
Marin suggested, not asking, proposing.
Compression protocol.
Kale agreed.
Standard containment won't hold it indefinitely. The black amber is stable, but we need to reduce volume for transport.
They moved into position without further discussion. It was like watching a dance. Beautiful. Practiced. They moved in perfect sync, neither leading nor following. Just moving together as one unit. I thought about Radiant Cage with Dane. How he'd engaged the target while placing anchors. How I'd woven from safe distance. How we'd worked in sequence. Him first. Me second. This was different. They cast simultaneously. Built the construct together. The timing was so precise that a single missed beat would cause catastrophic backlash. But they didn't miss, didn't hesitate. The cage completed in under a minute. Silver pillars connected by rainbow threads. All containing the black amber sculpture in geometric perfection. Kale and Marin made a gesture together. The cage constricted. The black amber held. Didn't shatter. Didn't break. Just compressed. Smaller. Smaller. The nightmare horror reducing with each pulse of convergence magic. The cage kept squeezing. When the spell faded, the sculpture was the size of an apple. Maybe smaller. A perfect dark sphere containing 12 feet of fused horror compressed into something that fit in a palm. Kale crossed to it, crouched down, picked it up like it was nothing more dangerous than a river stone. He tossed it in the air, caught it, examined it with casual curiosity.
Right then. Your black amber held up beautifully. Didn't crack, didn't leak. Stable as can be, yeah?
He tossed it again, caught it one-handed.
So we'll just keep this safe right here.
He slipped it into his coat pocket, patted the pocket twice.
Nice and secure. No one needs to know about this little beauty. Synthesis techniques being all theoretical and impossible and whatnot. Best not to advertise that you just did something that supposedly can't be done, yeah? Causes all sorts of uncomfortable questions, political nonsense, imperial scrutiny, the kind of attention that gets talented young binders disappeared into research facilities.
He said it all light and easy. Like hiding evidence of impossible magic was routine. Like pocketing a compressed nightmare was just good sense. Marin approached me, those dark eyes assessing, measuring.
Walking or carried? Choose quickly.
I nodded. I can walk.
Good,
Kale's casual confidence returned.
because we've got a long trip ahead. And more importantly, we need to report this. Full containment protocol for a polyps event. Get cleanup crews. Make sure the infection doesn't spread.
Polyps event. He said it like a technical classification. Like what had happened here fit into neat categories and procedures. Maybe it did for him. Maybe he'd seen this before. Handled it before. Maybe nightmare villages were just routine in his world. The thought was almost comforting. If it was routine, that meant it could be handled. Contained. Stopped. We started toward the stairs. My legs felt strange. Solid, but not mine. Like I was piloting a body that didn't quite fit anymore. One of the survivors, the trader from my caravan, grabbed my arm as I passed.
Thank you.
His eyes were wet, grateful, devastated.
You saved us. All of us. I don't know how to repay that.
I couldn't answer, just nodded. Kept moving. Outside, the village was burning. Controlled fires set by Kale's team. Orange flames consuming wooden buildings. Black smoke rising into pale sky. The infection dying in cleansing fire. The rescue team moved with practiced efficiency. Evacuating survivors. Containing breach points. Making sure no spores escaped to infect neighboring regions. I stood wrapped in a blanket someone had given me, watching everything burn. Numb. Exhausted. Traumatized beyond words. Kale appeared beside me, offered a water skin. The water was cold, clean. It hurt going down my raw throat.
Your caravan.
He said after a moment.
How many were with you?
5 wagons, maybe 20 people total.
We'll search for survivors. But Liv,
His voice went gentle.
you should prepare yourself. Polyp infections have high mortality rates, especially when they go undetected this long. The incubation period is fast. Once symptoms start showing, most people are gone within hours.
I nodded. Already knew. Had seen enough bodies, enough transformations. They were gone. Marta, who'd been kind during the journey. The young trader who'd joked about the minstrel. The stable master who'd negotiated prices at sunset. All dead. Or transformed. Or merged into the horrors I'd killed. Fresh tears spilled down my face. I couldn't stop them. Didn't try. Kale didn't tell me not to cry. Didn't offer empty platitudes. Just stood there. Solid. Present. Letting me grieve without interruption. After a while he said,
The academy, were you heading to Thornhaven?
Yes. My voice came out rough, raw. Your academy.
Then you're still coming?
I looked at him. Really looked. Took in the dirt under his nails that suggested he didn't care about propriety. The casual confidence that came from real competence. The genuine concern in his eyes that wasn't performance. I don't know, I admitted. I don't know anything anymore.
That's fair.
He handed me a clean cloth. I wiped my face.
But the offer stands. Cleaner waters, yeah? away from all this. A place where you can learn and grow without political bullshit getting in the way.
And if I can't function? The question came out small. Scared. If I'm too broken from this?
Then you rest until you can.
His answer was immediate. Certain.
No one expects you to be fine after this. No one who's been through what you just went through walks away unchanged. That's not weakness. That's being human.
Being human. The concept felt foreign. I'd spent the last 12 hours being a weapon, being a barrier between monsters and civilians, being everything except human.
We leave in an hour.
Kale said.
Transport wagons are already loading survivors. You're welcome to come with us. Or you can wait here for Empire cleanup crews. They'll arrange transport back to your old academy if that's what you want. Your choice.
My choice. He kept saying that, kept offering options, like I had agency, like I was capable of making decisions. I looked back at the burning village, at the place where 20 people I'd traveled with died, at the tower where I'd fought until I nearly dissolved. Then I looked at Kale, at the cleaver who'd saved me, who'd transferred with me, whose ash still sang in my channels with foreign but not unpleasant resonance. I thought about Dane, on his island, unreachable, 6 months away. Missing him was a constant ache, wanting his ash specifically, his presence, his tactical mind and brutal efficiency and quiet love. But Dane wasn't here, and Kale was. And Kale's ash had worked, had saved my life, had felt good in ways I wasn't ready to examine. That didn't mean anything. Just chemistry, just resonance, just practical survival. I was rationalizing. I knew I was rationalizing. But the alternative was admitting I'd enjoyed transfer with someone who wasn't Dane. And I wasn't ready for that admission. So I buried it. Covered it with layers of necessity and practical thinking. I'll come with you, I said, to Thornhaven. Kale's smile was warm. Genuine.
Good. You'll like it there.
He started walking, still talking.
The beds are absolutely ridiculous. Fluffy beyond reason. Like sleeping on clouds. And the food. Proper food, yeah? None of that academy gruel. Cook makes this apple tart thing on Thursdays that's basically just butter and sin. Oh, and we've got this cat that lives in the library. Massive orange bastard. Sleeps on all the best books. His name is Chairman Whiskers and he outranks everyone.
Despite everything, the horror, the exhaustion, the trauma, I felt my mouth twitch. Almost a smile. He noticed. His grin widened.
There we go. See? You're going to be fine.
He started to walk away, paused, looked back.
For what it's worth, what you did in that tower was incredible. Terrifying and incredible. You saved a lot of lives. Don't let anyone tell you different.
He left before I could respond. I stood wrapped in the blanket, watching the village burn, watching the infection die, watching Kale's team work with professional precision, and trying very hard not to think about how his ash had felt in my system, how the relief had been immediate and overwhelming, how for one perfect moment the craving had been satisfied. It didn't mean anything. Just a successful transfer. Just balanced channels. Just survival. I told myself that over and over, until I almost believed it.